Kevin Fiala continues to be an insane scoring pace for the Minnesota Wild as the Wild wrap up a season sweep of the Vancouver Canucks with a 6-3 win. Our Locked On Wild postcast starts now.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another Locked On Wild postcast as the Wild pick up a 6-3 win over the Vancouver Canucks to complete a regular season sweep over Vancouver and Bruce Boudreau. Today's Locked On Wild postcast is brought to you by Shady Rays. They are an independent sunglasses company that gives you the features of $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. Also, something you won't find anywhere else is Shady Rays' insane protection program. Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection on every pair. They will send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. Give them a try, and if you don't love them, you will pay absolutely nothing. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays. Exclusively for our listeners, head to shadyrays.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code LOCKEDON for their best deal of the season. 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses, backed by over 150,000 5-star reviews. Wild win 6-3 over the Vancouver Canucks, a game Vancouver absolutely had to have, and yet, as the Minnesota Wild have done pretty much all season, they found a way to outlast Vancouver and pick up yet another win at home. Really comes down to yet another dominant game from Kevin Fiala, 2 more goals, and he just continues to find a gear that I don't think anybody expected him to have heading into this season. Now 32 goals on the season. He had a very nifty goal to start the scoring on a great feed from Matt Zuccarello, and then untied the game at 4-3 late with some just crazy work around the net to get one past Thatcher Demko and pick up his 32nd of the season. So a lot of Kevin Fiala in this game. Also had some nifty work from Kirill Kaprizov. Jared Spurgeon also with a goal in this one as Matt Zuccarello scored as well. And then Ryan Hartman with an empty netter to finish the scoring. This game had some interesting back and forth as it has all season against Vancouver. The Wild had the huge early push for about the first half of the first period. And then Vancouver, as desperate teams do, Vancouver really started to up the intensity, up the play on their end, and it took some nice Cam Talbot saves to keep things scoreless and keep Vancouver off the board there in the first period. Of course, all the scoring happening in the second period, and second period continues to be a little bit of an adventure for the Minnesota Wild. Vancouver and the Wild both scoring 3 goals apiece, and 2 of those from Elias Pettersson, who was one of the players that we talked about that the Wild have to try to find a way to keep quiet, and yet they could not do that here in this one. Nonetheless, didn't end up hurting them, but still, 2 goals for Pettersson, and he was a factor in this one for Vancouver here tonight. But then the Wilds get the equalizer, and Vancouver just kind of melts down at the end of the game. And the Wilds pick up 2 huge points because this, as of right now, pushes them ahead of St. Louis with both teams with an even number of games to play the rest of the season. The Wild have the Kraken tomorrow night, then Nashville on Sunday to finish with Arizona, Calgary, and Colorado. St. Louis is pretty much on the road the entire rest of the way. So something's going to give between these 2 teams as to who gets the 2 seed, who gets the 3 seed. But the Wild's continuing to put some pressure on St. Louis to keep up their recent torrid play before we finish off the playoffs. Some of the things that we liked in this one tonight, of course, Kevin Fiala's play, continuing to justify whatever the Wild are going to pay him in an extension. Also liked, despite the results, at least on one end, the penalty kill. Again, able to keep the Canucks power play off the board. So that was good. It looks like the penalty kill has kind of started to turn a corner again by playing a little bit more aggressive. And we will, before we finish tonight, talk about what I think should be an absolute weapon penalty kill unit that the Wild employ the rest of the season. Power play was shooting more, which is a plus. They did not end up being able to capitalize on a power play goal, but you can't score power play goals unless you shoot the puck. So shooting as opposed to just aggressively passing up and down the zone, I guess is a positive. And Cam Talbot looked good in this one here tonight. Kind of got caught looking on one of the goals. I think it was the third goal that gave Vancouver the lead briefly, but one of them was just a rare turnover for Jared Spurgeon that led to a breakaway the other way, and Vancouver scored there. So Talbot was good. He had some very good saves early on in the game. He kept the Wild in it until the offense was able to start to break free on Thatcher Demko and made the saves down the stretch after the Wild had done enough to take the lead. So thought Talbot was good in this one. Special teams look like they're starting to kind of turn the corner, and those top two lines again, just continuing to do insane things for this Minnesota Wild team here down the stretch. We will look a little more in depth at what I teased, the maybe secret weapon penalty kill unit for this Minnesota Wild team as we continue our postcast after a 6-3 win for the Minnesota Wild. But first, betonline.net is your number one source for all of your betting stats and sports info. You can find all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NBA playoffs, the Major League Baseball season, and the push for the NHL towards the Stanley Cup playoffs. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. And coming in about 3 weeks, one of the biggest betting events of the year, that of course being the Kentucky Derby. So head to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. You can find that and so much more at BetOnline, where the game starts. Minnesota Wild win by a score of 6-3. They tie the franchise record for wins in a season with 49. And so for the Minnesota Wilds, their next win on the season, whenever that may be, will end up being a franchise record for wins in a season. And we saw Kirill Kaprizov pick up another goal, continues his march towards 100 points, needs just 4 now on the season. And so for this Minnesota Wild team, they continue to just plug along here as the season continues, and just absolutely having, and actually Kirill just needs 3 points. He had 3 in this game, so just 3 points away from 100 points on the season. We saw something interesting in this game from the Wild's penalty kill, a penalty kill unit. Now, I know the Wild are without the likes of Marcus Foligno, Jordan Greenway, Matt Dumba, some of your top penalty killers. But imagine a penalty kill unit of Nick Delorier, Joel Eriksson, Jake Middleton, and Jared Spurgeon. Tell me any team in the grand scheme of things in the NHL that would like to try to score off of that penalty kill unit. It's a big, physical penalty kill unit with a couple of great defensemen. I think the Wild should, at least, depending on what happens when players come back, I think they should at the minimum have that as like a PK2 and use that down the stretch. Now, just noticed it tonight. I don't know if that's something that the Wild have used before this game. but it obviously had great results. So continue to use that. If you want to, for a PK1, Kevin Fiala continues to be good on the penalty kill. Put him there. You got Tyson Jost. You've got Jonas Brodin. And you could probably put Greenway or Foligno on that top penalty kill unit as well. They continue to give the Wild hope that this penalty kill unit can be fixed once the regular season is over, heading into the postseason. And as for the power play, you got to continue to put Fiala and Kaprizov on that top power play unit until some of the results start to show through. Like I said, I thought it was better tonight getting some shots on net as opposed to just passing the puck around the zone and looking for perfect opportunities. But all in all, a quality win for the Minnesota Wild here against a Vancouver team that absolutely desperately needed at least a point, needed more like two coming into this game, and they weren't able to get it here. So unfortunate for them, but at the end of the day, it's the XL Energy Center, and it's a really tough place for opponents to play. So Wild pick up the win. They got the Seattle Kraken coming up tomorrow night on Locked On Wild tomorrow. We will try to figure out what is going on with the Wild in the second period this season. Seems like that has been a little bit of an adventure for this Wild team. We'll also talk about Kevin Fiala continuing to hit the stratosphere in terms of his numbers this season. And we'll look at what Seattle has been able to do to get themselves playing better here down the stretch. So you can look for all of that tomorrow on Locked On Wilds. But for now, that'll do it for our postcast. Wild win 6-3 over the Vancouver Canucks. And for more on this game and for more on the Minnesota Wild, make sure you are following Locked On Wild wherever you listen to podcasts.